How you begin your practice session is going to set the tone for what happens throughout the rest of your practice session. And if your ultimate goal is to play musically with expression, why not include warm-ups into your routine that help you do exactly that? In today's video, I'm going to give you 2 warm-ups for expressive piano playing that no one ever talks about. And make sure that you stay tuned until the end of the video, because not only am I going to tell you about these warm-ups, I'm going to show you exactly how to use them in your practice routine. Hey piano people, I'm Ashley from Ashley Young Music Studio. Welcome to the channel where my goal is to help you practice smarter, not harder. Let's dive in. The first warm-up for expressive piano playing that nobody ever talks about is the wrist flexibility warm-up. Now, in order to do this warm-up, you're going to find 2 notes. We're going to start with C and G in both hands. C and G form an interval of a fifth. And what you're going to do is inhale as you allow your wrist to lead your hands up. Okay? And if you've never done this before, I like to actually pretend like there's an invisible string tied to one of my wrists, and I use the other hand to help guide all the way up. And we can do that to the other hand as well. Guide the wrist up from this invisible string. Now, as you're inhaling, you're going to do this with both hands. And once you reach the top, you are going to exhale and let your hands drop into the keys. Now, when you exhale, notice that I didn't try to control it. I just allowed my hands to drop, and my wrist also went all the way down to the wood of the piano. So my wrist is down really far. So I'm starting in this extreme position where my wrist is guiding me up, and it's dropping all the way down to the wood of the piano. We're coordinating this with the breath, with the inhale and the exhale, because ultimately that's how you're going to play, and that's the sound of expression that you want. When you are lifting at the end of a slur, or when you're lifting at the end of a phrase, it's almost like that inhale of breath. And when you're exhaling, it's that release, it's that dropping into the keys, regardless of if you are trying to play loud or quiet. If you're liking this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of the free content that I release on a daily basis. And go ahead and head on over to the free Facebook community. If you're not already in there yet, I release tons of content that isn't here on the YouTube channel. You can post questions, you can post videos, you'll get a lot of value out of being a part of a community with other like-minded piano players. I'll see you over there. And when you do this exercise, the notes don't actually matter. So choose C and G just to keep it simple, but then when you let go and you don't try to control the drop into the keys, it doesn't matter if you play the right notes. And sometimes with students that actually tense up a lot, or with students that really have a hard time letting go of control, I will not even assign notes. I'll just say to inhale as you come up and exhale as you drop into the keys and play a clunk of notes. It doesn't matter what notes you're playing, because the point here is not to play the correct notes. The point is to get your body to tune in to what it feels like to allow your wrist to be flexible, to allow your wrist to guide your hand up and then to drop into the keys without trying to control it so much. Once you get used to this exercise and you do it over time, you will get to the point that you'll be able to play the right notes. And you will get to the point that you'll eventually be able to control the speed of that drop and do a wide variety of dynamic ranges. But so often, piano players just get so tense in the wrist right here, even the very best piano players that I see. And so this exercise really helps to combat that. And so the way that you'll use it is for about 30 seconds at the beginning of your practice routine. You're just going to tune into your breath. You're going to allow your wrist to come up with your inhale and exhale. And notice that I didn't even play the right notes. It doesn't matter. You're just trying to release control and allow your wrist to drop. Now you're going to do this repeatedly, so I'm going to stop talking and I'll show you what it feels like and what it sounds like when you do this for about 30 seconds. Sometimes I'll add in a few other little ups and downs once I'm in the keys, and then I inhale up, exhale down, add in a few more ups and downs, inhale up, more ups and downs. And that's it. It doesn't take very long, but your body's going to start to remember what it feels like to have a loose and flexible wrist. And after a few days of practicing this as your warm-up routine, that feeling is going to start to translate itself into your pieces of music. And so it's going to help you stay flexible and stay loose, which creates a very expressive, graceful, beautiful sound in your pieces. Do not practice this for more than 1 minute at a time. That is the maximum amount of time that you want to do this, because I don't want you to create tension and I don't want you to exhaust your wrists. And do not push your wrists to be in extreme positions, right? Like when you're lifting up and when you're dropping down, we're not pushing, we're not clenching, we're not creating tension. The whole entire point here is to relax and allow for flexibility. Don't overdo it. I don't want you to injure yourself. Before we dive into the second warm-up, I have a really quick announcement. Enrollment for Casual to Confident Piano Player is open. This is my high touch program where I work with you in Zoom. I hear you play, I give you feedback, and enrollment only opens twice a year. Inside Casual to Confident Piano Player, you get access to the Confidence Roadmap, which is your step-by-step guide to learning or troubleshooting a piece from the ground up so that you can play with confident musical expression. Members in the program start to play with a much higher level of accuracy and musicality within a couple of weeks, and they'd show up and cheer on all of the new members. For more info, visit the link in the description below. Once you get to the website, there's a little chat box in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can use that chat box to chat directly with me if you're serious about joining the program, but you have some questions that you need answered. The second warm-up for expressive piano playing that no one ever talks about is dynamic scales. A lot of people practice scales as warm-ups, but not a lot of people practice them in this way. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making when it comes to practicing scales is practicing them mindlessly or using speed as the ultimate goal. And there is a time and a place for practicing with speed as your ultimate goal with scales, but scales can be used to help you master the art of playing expressively and musically. And so I prefer to use them as a warm-up to help you master expression. In order to practice this warm-up, you're going to pick a scale, and it doesn't matter if you use both hands or one hand. It doesn't matter if you're doing 4 octaves or 1 octaves. What really matters is that we're focusing on dynamics and expression here. So for the sake of demonstrating, I'm gonna pick a 1 octave C major scale, and I'm just gonna do my right hand, because with this exercise, we're not trying to get the scales to be fast or hands together. That's not our goal. Our goal is to focus on dynamics and expression. And so you can go with a 1 octave scale. You can do one hand at a time. And in fact, you're probably going to get more out of the exercise if you do a smaller scale and if you just focus on one hand at a time. So let's do the right hand C major scale. And the plan that I'm gonna come up with is I want to do an even crescendo from the very first note of the scale to the very last note of the scale. Now, oftentimes when people decide on dynamics, they forget to listen. They forget to check in to see if they're actually doing what they intended to do. So we're gonna try it out, and then we're gonna ask the questions like, did that sound good? Was that actually an even crescendo? Did any notes clunk out, or did any notes fall out? Let's try it. Okay, so my thumb clunked out a little bit on the cross under, which is really common. And then I also didn't do quite as big of a crescendo as I wanted. I wanted it to be even more dramatic. So let's try it again. Okay, the A clunked out a little bit, but overall that was better. It was a much more dramatic crescendo, and also none of the notes clunked out that much. You can see when you do this exercise, the point of the exercise is not to play the scale fast. The point is to actually turn on your ear so that you can hear what's happening with every single individual note and ask yourself, is it following the dynamic plan that I set up? You're also going to start to develop the control to create the dynamics that you want to create if you do this regularly over time. You'll notice a difference after a couple of practice sessions. You don't have to practice this one for very long. Again, you can do the scale like 4 or 5 times in a row, and that's plenty. And it doesn't really matter what dynamic plan you come up with. I just gave the example of doing a crescendo, but you could say, I want to do a decrescendo. You could say, I want to alternate forte, piano on every single note. Just like the last warm-up, you're not going to do this for more than a couple of minutes per day as your warm-up routine, and you're going to find that it's going to help you really tune your ear to what you're actually doing when it comes to dynamics and expression on the piano, and that will translate to your pieces of music after just a few days. Now, your success in this exercise is going to be largely dependent on your ability to let go and let the weight of your arm drop into the keys, regardless of if you are trying to play forte or piano. And I go much deeper into this topic on a video that I did that's all about dynamic control and how to develop it. And in this video, I give you a really cool formula that you can use to help you master dynamic control regardless of your level. I'm gonna link that video in the description and also on the end screen. Don't forget to go check out the Casual to Confident Piano Player program. You can do that also right here on the end screen. Happy practicing.